When my friend Rena saw a sample of the carpet I had ordered from my house, she's like, "Oh, Father, that carpet is way, way too light in color." And I was like, "Exactly, because the house that I had purchased was just so brown. The walls were painted 12 different colors of brown. There were 8 different floor coverings, and almost all of them were brown. And my house is only 1,100 square feet. How can you fit so many depressing colors of brown in one house?" So exactly, the carpet was going to be way light. I was going to paint the walls all white, the whole house just one bright color. And I said to her, "Don't worry, I've got it all worked out. I've got a great sign when people walk in, and it tells them to remove their shoes. And if they don't want to remove their shoes, some people don't like taking their shoes off, I bought these cute little booty things that they could put on there. And then I brought rag rug runners." You tried to say that 3 times fast. Rag rug runners to just put throughout the house. Okay, right? Good plan. I've got light carpet, but I've got runners, and I've got booties, and I got signs, and then I also got a dog. And she doesn't take her paws off before she comes back from the walks. It's amazing what she drags in. And the worst offender is her ball, because she's playing with the ball in the dog park and it's running in all the dust and dirt, and she has a favorite spot to leave her ball. It's the same place that she drools when she's begging for a treat. It's the same place where she eats those teeth-cleaning dog treats. It's disgusting. Rena was right. The carpet color was way too light. And so I've had it professionally cleaned, right? It isn't even a week, and she's got it all dirty again. In fact, it's so disgusting now, I'm embarrassed to have anyone come over to my house. I don't want them to see how dirty that carpet is. But then I realized the good news is Jesus is coming anyway. He keeps showing up anyway. He doesn't seem to mind that I've got yucky carpeting. He doesn't seem to mind that it's really a mess. In fact, I love that about Jesus. He comes to us even when we're at our worst. Even when we're at our worst, because you have to picture this scene. St. Peter is a professional fisherman. Professional fisherman. So what did he do as a living? Fish. But you remember, early in his meeting of Jesus, he wasn't doing a good job fishing. So Jesus had gone to him and said, "Hey, have you tried fishing this way? You'll do a little better." And so Peter did it and caught all these fish. And so at that time, Jesus called Peter to come and be his disciple. So we've been through this whole terribly crucified, but don't worry, he's risen from the dead. And so, of course, Jesus had already called Peter to be a fisher of other people, right? You're going to go out and fish for people now. Well, you know what? He was being as successful in fishing for people as he was as a fisherman. And I love it, especially the way Reverend David read. He said to his friends, "I'm going fishing." And was he a success at this fishing? No, he didn't even win the small fish win. Because he didn't even get a small fish. What did he get? Jesus said to Peter and his companions, "Children, have you got anything to eat?" They answered him, "No." So he said to them, "Cast your net over the right side of the boat, and you will find something." Sound familiar? He came to Peter when he was at his worst, when he was a failure. And he chose him anyway. As he had chosen him originally, he chose him again. Jesus chooses to be with us even at our worst moments. Remember that, Elliot. Jesus chooses to be with us even at our worst moments. Remember that, Griffin. Jesus chooses to be with us even at our worst. They're receiving First Communion today, and they were really nervous. But I helped them to relax by pointing out that Reverend David and I, our favorite comment, which he's already used this morning, under our breath, I'm trying to set a good example for him as he's forming to be a priest. And so it's great when I make mistakes. So did you hear what he said when I messed up with the opening prayer in the Gloria? Fail. So you don't have to be nervous about today because it's just we make it work anyway. Jesus stays with us even when we fail. Although I have the microphone now. So, Reverend David, you went fishing on Friday, didn't you? Uh-huh. So you went fishing on Friday. And Reverend David, how many fish did you catch?
0.
No fish. No fish. But what I love is we know what happened in the gospel, don't we? Jesus said, hey, throw it off on the right side of the boat and you'll catch a lot of fish, 153 big ones. So Reverend David, in his discouragement, was blaming it on where he was at the river. He wasn't blaming it on that he had trout this big swimming around his feet, so he kept dropping the fly in front of the face. No, it's where he was at the river. So he goes walking to a different place up the river, and what does he find? A large trout had jumped out on the shore and lay at his feet. The Lord felt sorry for him. Said, you don't even have a net, so I'm just going to put this fish right at your feet. And it was all dusty, and he felt sorry for it, so he threw it back. So he did catch something, and then he released it back into. You see, Jesus chooses to be with us, even at our worst moments. And what I also love is he empowers us then. He helps us to succeed. He guides us to succeed. And then once we've succeeded, he brings us back by saying, I'm calling you. Follow me. But sometimes we're like, oh, I'm not worthy of that. Not me, Lord. Look at St. Peter. Peter was distressed that Jesus had said to him a third time, do you love me? 3 times Jesus asked him, do you love me? What does that remind you of? How many times did how many times did Peter deny Jesus? 3 times. Even though he had swore, I will die for you, Jesus, and he denied him 3 times. Triple failure. And yet, Jesus calls him to what it means to love and asks him 3 times, do you love me? And then after he said this, he said to Peter, follow me. That's what Jesus does to all of us. He chooses us wherever we're at in the messiness of our lives. He empowers us to be better and calls us to follow him, and then provides us with his great Holy Spirit to help us as we follow him. We hear in the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 5, verse 32, we are witnesses of these things, as is the Holy Spirit whom God has given to those who obey him. Jesus chooses, loves, calls, and empowers every one of us to follow him. So this is good news because sometimes people think, I'm going to need to be perfect before Jesus will come into my life. I need to have all my prayers in order. I need to be totally free of sin. I've got to be perfectly clean, and then Jesus will come into my life. No. Embrace the glorious mess you are. Jesus comes into our life anyway. Even if I have disgustingly dirty carpeting, Jesus comes into our life anyway. So embrace the glorious mess that you are. Know that Jesus chooses, loves, calls, and empowers every one of you to follow him. Every one of you to follow him.